from San Diego, it's Stanley, live.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. What a crowd. Let's pan around. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the show that America has been waiting for. Tonight, we're going to talk about punks and what they represent. Just pan around, if we would, Dan, and see some of the people that are from various areas here in San Diego County. You know, a lot of you, am I right? Is that where everyone is from? They're from Chula Vista and all around. Now, let me tell you about our show. A lot of parents out there, they want to know what happens if their kid becomes a punk. They think that's antisocial. How are we going to ever beat the Russians? Does this represent something bad, or is this a rite of passage? When I was a kid, it was the 50s, it was the Beat Generation, or the 60s were the hippies and the flower children. But now we know that in America there's a new phenomenon called the punks. It's been going on for a number of years. We're going to talk about it tonight. We have punks here, we have punk authorities, we have a punk band called the Ministry of Truth, and... And I'm going to be here, too. Oh, yes. Bill Stadium's going to be here, a social critic direct from the slums of Hollywood. And we also have Dr. Sheldon Kramer, a psychologist at USIU, and you're not going to like this here, who specializes in marriage and family counseling, who thinks, I must tell you, that some behavior, present company excluded, can evidence some kind of a highly disturbed behavior. Now, no fair singling me out. Now, before we meet our guest, I want you to meet Joel Montillon and his model, Pam. Come on in here, Joel. Joel is from La Différence in Pacific Beach. What are you going to do with Pam?
Well, I'm going to change her hairstyle, and I'm going to cut one side very short, and I'm going to do an asymmetric haircut and basically change her entire look.
So you're going to give her a punk hairdo?
Yes.
And why?
Because that's the show. That's what it is all about.
You're right. Now, if why would you submit to this, Pam? You're a good sport, huh? All right, here's what you... Let's give him some applause now. They'll be back in 45 minutes. Before we see them, and what a show, I'm telling you, this is the show that you've been waiting for. I want you to meet now Wilhelm and Princess Desser. Princess Desser is on...
punks.
What? Let me introduce now Princess Desser on my left, and her brother Wilhelm, who is on my right, are the owner of the Berlin Wall, a punk clothing store in Chula Vista, and 4 friends who are wearing stores fashions. All right, Wilhelm, why don't we introduce from right to left who these people are?
Okay, starting is Leah, and then we have Ray, myself, Wilhelm, my sister Princess, John, and Monica.
All right, let's talk about Monica first, because you have certainly one of the most interesting outfits. How did you get that look? Is that what you call a spiked hairdo? How did you get that look?
Well, I just use hairspray and a blow dryer.
All right. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Do you live at home?
Yes, I do.
And what did your family say when you did this?
Not too much. I mean, they tell me they don't like it, but there's nothing they can really do, you know?
Of course.
Because it's me.
How would you describe your relationship with your family? Is it a good one?
It's good. We fight every now and then, but it's just like any normal family.
Yeah.
You know?
So you don't see this as evidence of some kind of a problem going on in your family?
No, I don't.
Okay, what would you say to this, you guys, who see this kind of punk stuff? They say, well, this is rebellion and anger. What would you say to it? Do you think it's rebellion and anger?
It's not rebellion and anger. It's just a statement.
All right.
Of being different or trying to express
I think
a
some
certain
people
idea.
are.
You think some people
yeah,
are
because
angry?
I have seen friends that were, because their parents told them not to, so they did it more. But other people, it's just them. But there are some kids out there, just because their parents tell them not to, they still do it even more.
You mentioned a statement. What is the best part about being a punk? Why is it so, what do you like about being dressed up this way?
Well, I wouldn't know because I'm not a punk.
All right, well, how would you describe yourself then?
There's really no description. I just do what I want to do. I just dress how I feel.
All right. Princess Desser, tell us, though, about, so people will understand. They see kids like this, they don't like it, or they don't understand it. Why do people dress this way? You tell us.
Just to express themselves.
Expressing what, though? What do you think people are expressing?
Expressing the freedom of America.
Is it, do you think, is it to achieve some kind of group identity that young people
No.
have? It's not that?
It's a completely individualistic idea.
Uh-huh. Are most punks, would you say, are they interested in politics?
I don't know, I'm not.
Yeah. Are most punks, what are you interested in?
Fashion and music.
Fashion and music.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
And
Wilhelm.
my store.
Pardon me?
And my store.
And your store. Do you think that punks are interested in making money, Wilhelm?
Well, I'd like to clear one thing up first.
All right.
I mean, you mentioned our store as being a punk rock store.
All right.
I would say that we cater with clothing that is for punks, but we are not a punk rock store. And as myself, I am not a punk. You know, and I'd say a majority of the people up on the stage right now would consider themselves as punks.
Do you feel comfortable with people who are different than yourself?
I think that's what the whole world's supposed to be about. Everybody is different and they express their own opinions, and nobody is supposed to claim to one group or identity.
But do you feel comfortable with a square cake like me, for example, because I'm a little different? Would you feel comfortable with someone who's a little more straight?
I do. I mean, I might dress this way, but I'm just a businessman like you are. So as far as dressing or what you look like doesn't matter so long as you communicate with each other.
All right. Here's another question. They think that kids take drugs. Is there any connection between drugs and punk rock music?
Wasn't that last night's topic?
Pardon me?
Wasn't that last night's topic?
Yes, it was, but you're right, it was last night's topic, and you're absolutely right, except that drugs are a part of every aspect of American life, and that's why it comes up again. It comes up in sports, it comes up in
Well,
music.
you just answered that question yourself. You know,
All right.
drugs is involved with everything.
You
And,
can't
you know,
get away
everybody, not just, that's a bad thing, you know, drugs and punks go together.
Does
everybody, well, no, that's an example. That's a bad example right there.
All right.
You know, I mean, everybody's doing drugs. You know,
Is everybody?
Well, everybody always picks on punks for doing drugs. Why that is, I don't know. You know, how do we know you're not doing drugs? You know.
Well, you can, all right, I tell you what you do. That's a fair question, and you can ask me categorically.
How would you want to? Do you do drugs?
I do not. And then I do not, it's not a part of my life. I'm not suggesting it's
Right.
a part of your life, but I'm just saying that we want to clear up some myths.
Well,
Would
that's-
you say that a lot of kids who are in the punk life do drugs?
That's an assumption.
All right. So you're saying it's not true?
I'm not saying it's true or not true. I think everybody does what they want to do. If they do drugs, they do it. If they don't, they don't.
All right.
Nobody forces it on anybody.
I understand.
So.
All right, what are young people saying to their parents? This is a chance to look into camera number 2 there. Tell us, what are young people saying through music, through lifestyle? What are they saying to the adults of America? Would you tell us?
I would just say that they're living their life the way they want to live it, and maybe it's just their way of expressing how they want to be.
Right.
And I mean, you can't look at somebody on the outside. You have to get to know the person and actually find out who they are, what they have going for them, and then base your feelings on that.
Here's a specific question. Most people out there share the American dream. It may be a myth. It's 2 cars in the garage, it's getting a job, it's making money, it's that kind of thing. Do you share that dream?
Sure I do. I'm going to be graduating from USD in a year, and I mean, just because I'm this way, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, everybody has their goals.
All
I'm
right.
just getting there.
Good, so you're in college now.
Yeah.
And what are you studying?
Business administration.
How many kids at UCSD are dressed the way you are?
USD.
I'm sorry.
Not too many.
All right. So this is a rite of passage for you? Is that how you see it?
I wouldn't say it's a rite of passage, but I mean, it's like, I won't be able to do this, you know, in a few years, because when I graduate, I'm eventually going to have to change if I want to, unless I find something extreme in business, but I know business is a conservative field.
Right. You
So-
can't dress that way and expect to be an
Well, you
IBM.
might be able to.
You might, as a matter of fact. We did a show
I
in
can.
this.
Fine.
Go ahead.
I'm an example. I took 2 years at Arizona State. I swam on the varsity swim team up there. You know, I've done everything like that. I've been to college. That's why I say I'm a businessman just like you are, because I made this business. When we started out, we were only a quarter as big as we are now.
That's a great story. Tell us a little bit about you. What do you do? You're most attractive. Tell us about you. Do you go to college also?
I go to school and I work in a costume shop. So I'm around creative clothing all the time.
Now, what did you put in your hair to get that look, which I like, by the way? Well, how did you get that look?
Well, the color's rose red, and then I just put a lot of hairspray and I've dyed it a lot.
So you see this as fun, basically.
Yeah, I have a great time.
Is there any politics involved in this, though?
Not for me.
Not for you.
No politics.
All right, Wilhelm, no, but there is a statement on behalf of some kids. I mean, I'm not saying these kids, but aren't there some kids who really do feel unhappy and who are angry and do feel alienated?
What, because they're being punks, or?
In other words,
rephrase
the punks
question?
is a symptom of that they really are troubled or unhappy about something.
That's good.
I wouldn't say that. Like, punks in London is different from punks in the United States, I'd say. Because a lot of punks in London are poor and have nowhere else to turn to. A majority of the punks here, you know, they come into my store and you know, if they're buying clothing and shoes, they're either unhappy because of their family life or something else. But it's not as far as being poor, living in the streets or anything.
Here's a question before the break. Thanksgiving comes up in November. Will you be going home for Thanksgiving?
I doubt it. A lot of my relatives are far away. They don't know what I look like.
Well, you say you live here though with your mother and father, don't you? Would you be? Are you currently living in your home?
Yeah.
So you will be going home for Thanksgiving?
No, we'll probably have Thanksgiving at our house like we always do.
I'm a little confused though. If you're living at home.
Well, because a lot of my relatives live in another state, so.
But who do you live with here in the San Diego?
My mom and dad.
But would you be spending Thanksgiving with them?
Yeah, definitely.
So you have a good relationship with them. How about you? Would you be going home for Thanksgiving?
I live at home too. I'll be at home for Thanksgiving.
Okay. And we all will be home for All right. Is that a... Yeah, I think I will be going home for Thanksgiving. That's a good question. All right, now listen. We established that. Here's what we're going to do. We have a great show for you. The Ministry of Truth is here. We have punk authorities. And they're going to play a break song now. We'll go into the break. And when we come back, we're going to hear them in full regalia. Our show tonight are punks in San Diego. We're going to separate fact from fantasy. And we'll begin again after this timeout.
Tens of thousands of satisfied customers. It's about time someone gave you a family price. Honest. McCune Chrysler Plymouth. Minutes off 805, seconds off I-5. National City.
Restaurant and Lounge at the Mission Bay Golf Course serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Their delicious and affordable breakfasts featuring omelet specials are served Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. until noon. The friendly atmosphere of the Sandtrap Lounge features live entertainment and dancing Thursday through Sunday. And don't miss our happy hour, Sundays 8 p.m. to 12 midnight, all well drinks $1. The Sandtrap Restaurant and Lounge, just off I-5 at the Mission Bay Golf Course.
It's their attitude.
Your mama's a blowfish.
It's worldly.
I'm fluent in several languages, honky being one of them.
Spontaneous.
Are these real?
Personal.
Nowadays, it is refreshing to meet a girl with curable diseases.
When you want it all.
Planes, islands, money.
You gotta have the right attitude.
Surprise! Oh, and would you like to disco?
Whoopee Boys.
You need help. You need professional help.
Rated R.
Introducing Folger's Red Brick Bag. It's the freshest idea in coffee.
We got a fresh idea. It's gonna hit you like a brick. We take fresh coffee and do a little trick. Take out all the air, make a solid brick of flavor. Open up to freshness, you're gonna savor. Mountain grown Folgers in a red brick bag. It's gonna hit you like a brick.
Mountain grown Folgers in a red brick bag. It's the freshest idea in coffee.
Are we back? One problem we're having tonight is getting this audience up for the show, as you can see. Now, let me say this to you. I've just talked to management here. What is going on? This program is being pooled now on all of the stations across the San Diego. You'll see this on all the stations. It's being pooled. It's like an emergency broadcast. Oh, yeah. But we may go on and on like a telethon for 24 hours and just keep us on. What do you think? Okay. All right, now I want you to meet Tim Mays. Where's Tim?
That's Tim.
Tim is on my right. Tim Mays and Harlan Schiffman, promoters of the punk rock concerts. You're kind of the Bill Grahams. Was that how you would describe yourself?
Well, I don't know. Not quite as big, but been doing it for a long time.
All right, tell us this. Why do a lot of punk groups have names like Spit and The Insolence and that kind of thing? Why do they have what people call antisocial names?
Well, I guess it reflects what their views are on society a lot.
All right, and what are their views? Tell us
well,
a little
it
more.
varies. There's some of them, you know, there are bands that are fun joke bands that just go out to perform to have fun, and then there are bands that are heavily political. And there are, you know, all sorts of different bands.
Okay, let's talk about the politics. What, are they Democratic or Republican? Is that fair? Or
Not that I know of.
No,
I'm
I
sure
don't-
there are some out there that are.
Okay,
but
what kind of political statements are some of these bands making?
A
What
lot
are they
of them.
against?
A lot of them. Well, they're against the government trying to run their lives and forcing them to do things that they don't think are right. A lot of them are into animal rights, you know, anti-vivisection, and there are a lot of bands that feel heavily about a lot of anarchy bands, you know, bands that are into anarchy.
What about this? This is a cruel statement, Harlan. Philip Wiley, a great writer, once said that young people are often full of self-pity and vacuous dreams. How would you comment on that?
Oh, I don't think that's necessarily true. Maybe they seem to wallow in certain beliefs or philosophies, but by and large, I think they're just out trying to explore and expand. And,
Have a good time?
Yeah, enjoy.
All right, we hear so much, I mean, we don't want to mix up punk rock with Ozzy Osbourne or heavy metal, but if you had a kid, would they be safe at one of your concerts?
I believe they would.
And how many people go to these concerts?
Oh, we have shows, depending on the size, that can range anywhere from 300 people to 2,000 people.
All right. And what groups have you presented locally here in San Diego?
Oh, anything from Missing Persons, Black Flag, Circle Jerks, Social Distortion, you name it.
Now, are these the kind of bands, for example, that might play at Candace Bergen's next wedding?
Oh, maybe her son's bar mitzvah.
They're kind of the Lester Lannon bands?
Yeah.
Now, what is a square cake like you doing with these people? What am I doing here? Why are you here?
I thought I was dressed up for the wedding you're having.
That's on Friday. But, I mean, are you kind of behind the lines here, or are you... They say don't trust anyone over 30. Why are you here?
Because I turned 30. No, actually, I'm behind the scenes, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what about the lyrics? We hear so much about the lyrics. Are these lyrics... are they fit to be on television?
Which ones? I mean, the lyrics range from, you know, sweet, cutesy stuff to stuff you can't have on television.
All right, let's hear some. I used to do this act
I
alone.
don't have any. I mean, do you have a sheet there with
Now,
some
here's what we're
lyrics
going
on
to talk about. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this group must be respected. We will not reject this group. They're here to hear the Ministry of Truth. And here they are, Ministry of Truth, one of the outstanding punk bands in San Diego County.
Tell me, boy, I can do this. I need some direction.
Robert, all right. What can I say? What can I say? They were fantastic. Wouldn't you want to hear that again? Now, wait a minute. Wait a second. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Now, listen. You guys were fantastic, and here's what we're going to do.
Different.
They're all different. Okay,
All
let me
different.
introduce who's here. On your right is Dr. Sheldon Kramer, a psychologist. This man is a psychologist. At USIU, and also specializes in marriage and family counseling. And on my immediate left is Bill Stadium, social observer and movie writer. And you've met Harlan, and if you've met Tim. All right, let's talk to you, Dr. Kramer. And we don't want to put you in the lines down here, it's a little unfair.
No.
But in general, what are punks saying? And should parents be concerned, or is this just a rite of passage?
I think it's very difficult to say
that any one punk is they're all unique. I think it was being said before. Actually, probably, I'm gonna probably get booed right now.
That's all right.
But I would think that some punkers that I know might call the people up here who want to be punkers.
Say that again.
Okay.
No, what was it again?
I'm saying that some of the punkers that I've met who have a different philosophy than some of the people you had on before might be, there are different kinds of punkers. In other words, there's more than one kind of punker.
Right. There's a hardcore punker you're talking about.
That's right. And I'm not sure if any of these are hardcore punkers.
So do you think these are like weekend punkers? Is that what we're saying? Well, in a sense, that's true, because we saw some college kids going to college who know that they can't get into the workplace doing that.
Actually, if you really go back to the history of punk, it really goes back to England.
Right.
And the punk movement really came from England, and many of the teenagers from England came from the working class, and basically one of the things that they were trying to do through their dress and music was to rebel against the society. They basically had a philosophy of anarchy. They were very angry about what was going on in terms of the values at that period of time, and we're talking about middle 60s to the early 70s. So I would say that you can't make a generalization about all punkers being disturbed. There are some young people that are into punkers. I'm sure a lot of people here who are not disturbed at all. This is their way of expressing themselves, just like we did when we were teenagers. It was basically a way of trying to separate, become their own person, just like we all did. We can go back to through the generations, and every teenager had a way of rebelling.
Let's talk to Bill Stadium, who's a good friend of mine. We've been on other shows, and you've been in England. Put it in some context. We know, I think that it was Tim talked about, or maybe it was somebody talked about England, that punk really represented something. What does punk represent in the United States, in your opinion, Bill?
Well, the best way to look at the two systems is in England, punk really comes out of a crucible of deprivation and of misery. And here punk comes out of the horn of plenty. Here it's more of a function of style, it's a trend, it's a look, it's a style. It's more of a fashion item. In England, it's really, these people are coming from the underclass, and they're very angry and nihilistic, and they want to tear it down. So their look really is much more organic to the problems in England today than the look of punk would be in America today.
All right, let's talk about some of these lyrics if we can. And I've got them here because we want to give Jordy a chance. And are we having a mic problem there? If we are, just pass it up, Terry. What does this mean to Robert or to Jordy? Who's going to tell me what to do? I need some direction. Anyone will do. Where can I find my ministry of truth? Where can I find a believer that pulls me through? What is that supposed to? What are we supposed to make out of that?
That's Jordy.
All right, Jordy. Did you write? Did you write this? All right, who's going to tell me what to do? I need some direction. Anyone will do. Where can I find my ministry of truth? Where can I find a believer that pulls me through? Now, tell us, that's a good lyric. What does that mean?
What's this?
What does that mean?
I don't know. Okay, who's going to tell me what to do? I mean, obviously it's someone reaching out who needs help.
Right.
And I need someone who needs some direction. It's pretty obvious. Pretty
it is. That's a powerful statement. So you're saying that a lot of kids see in you a way of going, or you represent the frustration of being a young person?
Well, no, it's not necessarily frustration. You know, it's just, you know, everyone's looking for themselves, and that's basically what the song's about. You know, and some people can't do it themselves and look to other people.
Okay, why can't they do it themselves?
I don't know.
Well, let's speculate. Why can't young people today find their own direction?
You know, there's a variety of people out there. Some people can do it themselves. Some people can't. Some people are better off, some people aren't. Why are some people?
All right,
You're only reading
let's
the first verse of the
All right, I'm
whole
not
song.
saying it's a bad lyric. I'm saying it's a good lyric. What I think it says is maybe there's a breakdown in communication at the home, that being a kid is tough, that they need some parameters. I'm not saying this is a bad lyric.
I think it's a universal sentiment, though.
Right, I do too. Of course it is. Okay, let's talk about it because it's important. What do you make of this, Tim?
I just see it's someone looking for guidance, you know. Somebody maybe have some problems and they want somebody to help them out. You know, that happens in any segment of society, you know, not only punks. I mean, you go look at any young people, older people even, you know, somebody's always got a problem and wants somebody to help them.
Do you think that music, generally speaking, Bill, is kind of the mobilizing force for young people in this country?
I think it's the poetry of the times, and I think it expresses what people feel. But I don't think this is peculiar to the punk movement. I think it's what Tim has said. It's anybody feels it. Everybody's looking for guidance.
All right. Jordy, how long have you been a member of the band?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay, Robert, tell us. Take two is right. Tell us, how long have you been a member of this band?
3 years, I'd say.
And why did you get into this as opposed to some more traditional rock form?
Because it's the kind of music I like. I was in a band like this before, and a friend of mine said, hey, you want to play? And then we played.
Let me ask you a tough question. Do you think you have talent?
Well, I think our music sounds good, to me.
Would you feel, for example, comfortable among or around an accomplished musician?
Well, we have a record out, so I guess that's about as accomplished as most musicians get.
But people might say that anything sells in America. That is a good answer. But that isn't the really responsive to my question. Do you think you really are a good musician?
I'm better than some people, but there's a lot of people better than me.
Okay.
Because, you know, I've only been playing for 3 years. There's been people playing for, 20 years.
Right. Jordy, who are your heroes in life?
Bazooka Joe.
Who?
Bazooka Joe.
Bazooka who?
Joe.
Who is that?
I like a lot of comedy. I don't really have too many serious, heroes. I like comedy.
Okay.
And I'm not so serious all the time. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not.
All right. When we come back, we're going to talk to some punks and parents and get a chance to talk to the audience. Stay with us. We'll see you after this timeout.
Introducing Folgers Red Brick Bag. It's the freshest idea in coffee.
We got a fresh idea. It's gonna hit you like a brick. We take fresh coffee and do a little trick. Take out all the air, make a solid brick of flavor. Open up to freshness, you're gonna savor. Mountain grown Folgers in a red brick bag. It's gonna hit you like a brick.
Mountain grown Folgers in a red brick bag. It's the freshest idea in coffee.
Diana, do you read TV Guide?
I sure do. I love it.
Would you lend me your TV Guide for the week?
Lend you my TV guide? I can't live without it. What do I do without my TV guide? I love the in-depth articles, and I do like the way the shows are listed. The Sunday paper is the pits. I'm lost.
If you don't read TV Guide this week, you might be missing something.
So lend me your TV Guide for the week.
It'll cost you.
Carpeteria always saves you up to 60%. Now save up to 30% more during the Carpeteria Summer Clearance Sale. We'll even pay the sales tax on all in-stock merchandise. Carpeteria Selection, like solid color cut pile, clearance priced at only $6.99 a square yard. Carpeteria Quality, like heavy sculptured Anso-4 nylon, just $10.99. Save 30% more now during Carpeteria's Summer Clearance Sale.
Carpeteria.
Little League Baseball at its very best. The 1986 Western Regional Championship game via satellite from San Bernardino, California. Mel Allen doing play-by-play. Roy Firestone bringing exciting commentary as the top two teams in the West go head-to-head to see who goes to the Little League World Series. Watch it, the 1986 Western Regional Little League Championship game.
7:30 p.m. on San Diego's KUSI. TV 51, Saturday.
All right. Now, we have something very special, and I want us all to be respectful because we have a terrific story here. Diane Sweeney is on my right, and her son Mike cannot hear us. Am I right, Diane?
You're deaf. He is deaf.
So is he a deaf mute? He cannot talk either?
You could not understand his words.
All right, so he cannot hear, so you communicate through sign language.
I will interpret for Michael.
All right, wonderful. And you live in Coronado?
Yes.
All right. And does he see himself as a member of the punk movement?
Do you feel you are a punk? Yes.
All right. Ask him, what is the best part of being a punk?
What is the best part of being punk? He likes the music. He likes slam dancing. He likes his friends. He likes his friends that he made in punk.
Great story. Mrs. Sweeney, you know, a lot of people will be watching it, and when I first met you, you certainly look like a very proper woman, and you are, and there's certainly nothing wrong about that. Do you find it unusual that your son would be a member of the punk movement? Do you think it's great? Have you encouraged him? Is this something you feel comfortable with?
I have never encouraged Michael to be punk. He chose that group to become a part of, and my feeling is that it's very necessary for everyone to feel a part of a group, whether it be punk or bird watchers or whatever. I do not object to Michael being punk. My only adverse thinking is that I don't like the punk philosophy of life particularly.
And what do you think that philosophy is?
I think it's anti a lot of the things that we as a family believe in. He feels anti-conformity, anti-establishment, anti-police, anti-America at times, and he's definitely for anarchy, and I am not.
All right, do you think maybe you have failed as a mother?
Oh, no. No, I have other children.
Did you mean to say that? You haven't failed, did you? Well, what are they like? Wait a minute now. That was a very honest thing. I think parents will all relate to that. You know, of course, Mike has a particular problem, too, don't you think? Because of the fact that it's hard for him to communicate in a normal way. So do you think that's part of it? Do you think maybe that was one of the reasons he became interested in being a punk?
Do you feel you have a problem with deafness? No, he does not think he has a problem with deafness.
Do you think there's love in this family? Do you think Mike feels love in being part of your family?
Do you feel love in your family? Yes, he does.
I see. What a touching story. Well, you must be a heck of a mother, and he's a great guy. I really believe that.
We try.
Okay. Now, why don't you introduce your father, because this is a great story too. You introduce the man on your right, all right?
This is my father, Dr. Gutowitz.
All right. Now, you heard your son's music. What did you think? What did you think about Robert's music?
Well, I don't understand it all, but I'm beginning to. It makes sense to me now.
Does it? Yeah. All right. And what is it saying to you?
Well, when I first heard it, I thought, like you did, that it was anti everything I believe in. But I find that he really isn't for violence. There is some anti-tradition, but basically they're not into the drug culture, not into violence, and it says that they're expressing themselves, has been said here tonight, maybe a little different than I would, but it's fine.
What did you do when you were a kid, Doctor?
Do I have to tell you that?
Yes, you do. We all have to put some. What did you do?
I think every generation tries to be different than every other generation, whether it's usually in music or in dress. It's not Frank Sinatra. It's not what I liked, but it's fine.
All right, we'll be back with the doctor and the Sweeneys and Dr. Kramer and Bill Stadium. After this time, we're going to go out in the audience and talk to some of these people. Thank you, sir.
It's the semi-annual clearance sale with drastic markdowns. Many items below actual cost. Video recorders, camcorders, compact discs, televisions, hi-fi receivers, digital car stereos, AM/FM cassette stereos, selected car stereo. The semi-annual clearance sale. Many items below actual cost. Nothing is held back. Absolutely the lowest prices of the year. Mad Jacks.
Come and see the best car stereos at the sports arena and watch contestants compete for $5,000. Marvel at this 500 horsepower beauty and be awed by this 1.6 kilowatt beast.
All over America, it happens. Unreported stains. Stains they don't tell you about. Stains that go right into your dryer where they could be, set for life. But add Biz Bleach to your detergent and you have a strong second line of defense to catch many unreported stains and remove them before it's too late. So if your family doesn't report every stain, rely on this. Unreported stains can't get by Biz.
When I was a kid, I loved to wear bandages just to get attention. But now I'd rather be a little less conspicuous when I protect a cut. So I use Band-Aid brand clear, just invented by Johnson & Johnson. The strip is transparent, so people hardly notice I'm wearing a bandage at all, which is nice, because now that I'm grown up, I want people to notice me, not my bandage.
New Band-Aid brand clear bandages, only from Johnson & Johnson. Clearly the best-looking bandage ever.
Mr. Hollingsworth has offered me a partnership in a brand new enterprise, creating new markets for Midwestern products in Europe.
Are you really going to do this?
No, she is not. You always told me to set a goal and go for it. That was when I was potty training you.
This could be a momentous occasion. It's your last American hamburger in Malton.
Unless you have some more guilt you want to lay on her?
I think of something on the way.
One day at a time, 6:30 p.m. on TV 51 tomorrow.
We're talking to Dr. Sheldon Kramer. The Sweeneys and the doctors are on the ball. They're inclusive. They're not afraid. What would you say generally? What should parents do if they see the kids dressed in a way they don't like? Should they throw them out of the house? They embrace them? What would be your general advice?
Well, you know, I think that it really depends on the parents. Different parents have different values and different ways of tolerating different kinds of extremes. Apparently, the parents here today can tolerate some of the extremes, and if that's fine for them, that's fine. I do think that parents should tell their kids what they think, what their values are. I think all teenagers need to know that. They need to know where their parents are, and then they can rebel against it. And a lot of times later on, they end up having some identification with them.
It seems to me, Mrs. Sweeney, that if any, I've just met you an hour ago, and I have a feeling that if I lived in your house, your values are unmistakable. I know where you stand. How do you think this happened, that Mike had such a different point of view?
It's something that he just found and he liked and he went into. His brother, who is now 30, was into the hippie.
I see.
And that was something he found and went into.
How many kids do you have in your family?
4.
All right. That's a good question, Bill. Do you see any comparison between punks or hardcore punks and the hippies of the 60s?
I see a lot of parallels, although I think in the 60s, the hippie movement was much more tied up with psychedelia and drugs than the punk movement is tied up with drugs today. I did think both are rebellious movements. I think in the 60s there was a Vietnam War that people were rebelling against, and I think in the 80s it's this sort of yuppie post-Eisenhower type of conservatism that the punks represent a kind of rebellion against. But I think both of them, are, certainly in America, are stylistic trends against the establishment values of the time.
Doctor, are you ever, what do you tell your friends? I mean, they must know what your son is doing. What do you tell them?
I tell them that I'm pleased and that I try to sell him his records.
You know, Robert, you have a tremendous father. You really do. You look like you have a great relationship.
We do. My oldest son was at Woodstock, if people remember Woodstock.
Oh, yeah.
And he is now in PhD in advanced mathematics. And I have a daughter who is a hippie, so to speak, and is now a graduate architect at Princeton. So it just doesn't correlate with what they're doing now.
So in other words, this is a rite of passage, or just an experience. And also what I sense in a lot of these young people is there's a lot of creativity among a lot of people, don't you think?
I really believe that.
Let me go talk to some of these people. Do we have time, Terry, right now? Let's talk to this. Who wants to be on camera here? Who has a very strong... All right. All right, now you got to be on your best behavior. Go ahead, stand up, please, and what is your question or your comment?
What do people have against punks that they have strongly
grudges about?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question, and that's why our show... What did you say?
Nothing.
Well, say what you just said.
No, I just said sometimes people are a little obnoxious. They give things a bad name no matter what they're into. But if parents or anybody takes the time to talk, if they think that their kid has a problem, and they talk to them, no matter what kind of music or what they're dressing like, you know, they just have to find out what they're like. You know, they can't exactly, just because they look different, say that's the problem.
Is this your child?
No, I'm babysitting.
Okay, now what would happen?
That's the mother.
All right, here's what we'll do. We'll come back to our audience. Our discussion tonight.
She's gone to shows, never gotten hurt.
We're going to get back to her. We'll be back with our punks after this time. Please stay tuned. The show is building and building. See you after this time out.
All right, release. When we film Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, we're careful to avoid unnecessary dangers to the animals or ourselves. It's careful planning, not luck, that carries us through some tough spots. It's not always that easy back here in your Wild Kingdom. No matter how hard you try, sometimes you can avoid a serious injury or illness, the kind that can keep you out of work with no money coming in. Money for the things you depend on in your life and in the lives of your family. But Mutual of Omaha can help plan for your needs when you're sick or hurt and can't work. Mutual of Omaha's money-back disability income protection can pay you up to $10,000 a month when you're disabled, so you and your family won't have to sacrifice everything you've worked for or use up your savings. Best of all, you can get your money back. When your policy matures, Mutual of Omaha will return all the money you've put in minus any benefits you've received. Either way, you can't lose. If you're disabled, your Mutual of Omaha policy helps provide an income for you and your family. But if you don't need to use your policy, you can get your money back. No matter what kind of coverage you have now, do you have disability income protection? And is it enough? Sure, it's wild here. And it's wild out there, too. Don't depend on luck. Plan your protection the way I do, with disability income protection from my friends at Mutual of Omaha. Call this toll-free number today and learn more about Mutual of Omaha's money-back disability income protection, because you never know what's going to happen in your Wild Kingdom.
Call 1-800-542-4900 for free information on Mutual of Omaha's money-back disability income protection. That's 1-800-542-4900.
Boy, I'll tell you something. You're all in the will, ladies and gentlemen. After the show, you're all getting a brand new Buick for Christmas. All right, now, tell me your name.
Andre.
Okay, why don't you all stand up? Because you all represent something different, but also something very good. Stand up a little bit, will you? Where do you go to school?
San Diego High.
And you want to introduce the people on your left?
This is Lori. And Sharon.
All right. Now, what do you think about this?
I really don't know.
Do you feel, what would your parents do if you came home looking a little unusual?
Really, I don't think it was anything that they could do. They'd probably ask me, you know, why I do it, but what could they do to me?
Did you have a question that you wanted to ask?
Yeah, I wanted to ask her, how did you get your hair like that? I mean, with the color and then how it stands and everything.
Color? I bought the color from my store. It's $8.50 for a jar. And
Do you like it?
And I hairspray.
Yeah, I do.
I do too. Thank you so much. Who has a question? Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm curious as to, from not being in the punk mainstream around here, what the police, San Diego police, seem to have against punk rock music in San Diego.
Where is Tim? Where's Tim? Tim might know the answer. Come on here, Tim. We'll get the response. Who else has a question while we're waiting for Tim? Yes, your question, please.
I was wondering if these people, they say they don't consider themselves punkers. I don't know exactly what they like to be called. Do they consider themselves to be attractive?
All right. Do you think you guys are attractive? What do you think?
Yeah.
All right. Tim, are you on mic? Are you not on mic? No, I don't have. All right. Tell us, why do you think the cops are, do you think the cops are against you?
Well, to a certain extent they are, and it comes from a lot from people see people dressed weirdly and they get uptight and they call the police, and the police feel compelled to deal with it when the citizens call them. So, you know, a lot of it is misunderstanding of what punks are. You know, people see people who look kind of weird to them and they get scared and they think they're going to be hostile to them. You know, I admit there are some who are, and they give it all a bad name, but overall I think it's overreaction.
All right, good answer from Tim. Thank you. We'll go out in the audience here. Yes, what are you doing? You look so traditional. What is your name?
I'm Chris Summers.
And are you related to somebody here?
Yes.
Who is that?
My son is the head screamer for the Ministry of Truth.
Oh, my heavens. Wait, is this your husband?
Yes.
All right, now what do you stand up? What do you think about this?
Oh, I think it's exciting. I think it's exciting. I did some of the same things when I was younger, only it wasn't punk then. It was some other thing.
What did you do?
Well, it was about the time that Elvis was coming on the scene, and I thought that was really exciting, and we got into that, and we went to the concerts and everything, and everyone sort of looked at us as sort of strange and everything, but we enjoyed it.
That's great, great story. Do we have any more responses here? Your name, please, and you have a question for our audience? What is your name?
My name's Mark.
Okay, Mark, what would you like to say?
Would you care if your son or daughter did this?
Great question. Well, I don't have a son or daughter, but you want to know something? I wouldn't judge someone by the way they look. I really wouldn't. I would judge someone by their character, their point of view, their honesty. That's how I judge someone. Do you think that's a good idea to judge people that way?
Yeah. You can't judge someone by the way they look.
Right. In fact, a lot of people think I'm an unusual guy. Seriously. Can you believe that? Can you believe Oh, these kids. How are we going to ever beat the Russians with these kids? All right, stand up here and face the camera. Now, my question is this. I mean, are you going to ever make the Air Force Academy if you continue this way?
I doubt it.
Why doesn't everyone want to grow up and be just like Steve Garvey?
Because I don't like baseball.
All right, who else has a question or a response? Any more questions or response? Well, let's get this man on camera. What is your name, please?
Oh, Randy.
All right, Randy, what would be your comment?
About what?
Well, what did you think about our show tonight?
I think it's pretty cool. I like it. We're having fun.
But Stratus doesn't have nothing to do with punk rock.
All right, listen. Here's what we're going to do. We'll get this one last man on camera, and then we're going to go to a commercial break. Yes, you face this camera. What is your response?
Well, I just like to say that there's some punks that aren't into anarchy and that believe in God, and there's just Christian punks out there too. And punks for God, you know, that some punks don't believe in taking drugs. Some punks, you know, that go to church and really, you know, are for American, for, you know, real things. So it's not, like a lot of people said, that it's just like one certain violence and drugs and stuff.
I understand. Let's get this person up here. Would you mind standing up? I wouldn't embarrass you, would you? We'll face this camera here. What is your name?
Chris.
Chris, now you have, I've noticed you pierced your nose. Does that hurt?
No, not at all.
And why did you do that?
Boredom.
Boredom. What are you bored about, Chris?
I was at the movies. It was boring.
But in general, are you bored with your life?
No. I enjoy it a lot.
See, people they don't believe that. They say this man, maybe he's having a problem. What do you think?
Well, I just let them think what they want.
We'll be back with a final note. You've been a great audience. Please stay tuned for a tremendous end. See you at this time.
A plumbing group, Plumco and Oceanside, AD Plumbing Supplies El Cajon, and the Plumbing Store Chula Vista, San Diego's most complete plumbing showrooms. When you select bathroom faucets for your home, show off your good taste by choosing hardened brass. Spice up the kitchen with elegant kitchen spouts and sprays. And don't forget that distinctive elegance in wet bar faucet fixtures makes hardened brass the top choice. Plumco Oceanside, AD Plumbing Supplies El Cajon, and the Plumbing Store in Chula Vista. Expert advice with a competitive price. The Plumbing Group.
The La Jolla Museum of Contemporary Art. There is more to it than meets the eye.
Hello, I'm Cliff Robertson, and I would like to invite you to support this fine art museum of international reputation. By becoming a member and volunteer, you're a part of the future of the world of art, a future that enriches the lives of everyone it touches. So let it touch you. Join the La Jolla Museum of Contemporary Art.
San Diego's KUSI TV 51 invites you to take a look at its community calendar.
Get a picnic supper and a blanket for some wild and woolly country fun when the KCBQ Flatbed Band gives a free concert at Berry Street Park in Lemon Grove. The concert will be held from 6:30 to 8 p.m. on Tuesday, August 19th. For more information, call 464-1630. Parents of children 3 to 7 years old are invited to a free program called Is My Child Ready for School? On Wednesday, August 20th from 7 to 8 p.m. at the Health Concern in Escondido. For more information, call 746-0700. And if you're thinking about retirement, the Bay Hospital's Health and Information Center will be presenting a free Social Security pre-retirement seminar from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, August 26th. Call 420-9820 for information and registration. The community calendar is a public service of KUSI, TV 51. TV 51 helps.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, Carter, you were great. A final comment from you?
I think the people up here were a fashion disaster.
Well, we're going to see. Thanks, Carter. Here comes Pam and Joel. Come on, Joel. What do you think? Do you like how Pam looks? Yeah. What did you do, Joel?
Well, I cut her hair and I style it, and I understand here there is lots of different type of punk, so I will call my hairstyle a pacified punk. She can make it stand up with just some hairspray straight up, and what she can do also is she can style her hair and look for a job and not have some form of negative feedback. She can style her hair more conservatively if she wants to.
Thank you so much, Pam. Would you stand on my left? And Joel also. A final comment from the doctor. Who is the problem punk? Quickly.
Okay. The ones in this section right here.
Basically, the problem is those people who really feel very hostile, angry, bored, empty inside, and there are those punks, and there are those punks who give punks bad names.
All right. Thanks to Bill Stadium, to Wilhelm, to Princess Desser. Thank you so much. Can we sing along? We heard the Ministry of Truth. I tell you what, Dan, let's hear the kind of music I like. Shall we do that now? Let's hear it now. Come on now. Cue the music, and we'll all sing along at home and here in the audience. Go ahead, Dan. I want to hear it now.
When did you leave heaven?
How could they let you go? Cause everything in heaven I'd like to know.
Why did you
trade heaven for all those earthly things? Where did you hide your halo?
Where did you
lose those rings?
Have they missed you?
Have they missed you?
Water's a mighty fine way to enjoy a mighty